Hello, welcome back. My name is Gabriel. I'm the developer of Books Commander. Today, I'm going to be attempting to answer a user's question in Reddit, and I'll be using the Books Commander GPT to help me with some of the data entry for my test case. Just looking for ways to see where maybe we can find some unexpected use cases where the ChatGPT GPT would be useful, particularly useful. So we're kind of finding these random cases that are on Reddit and trying to address them. I'm going to start off by bringing up the Books Commander GPT. And I'm going to be using my test environment. And I'm just going to start off by pasting the entire post here. And part of the reason I'm doing it is because I think that when accountants are performing their job, I think that there's a lot of value in using an LLM to sort of work through problems. And so I'm just kind of simulating what an accountant might do whenever they stumble onto an issue. They can just go straight to ChatGPT and start troubleshooting their situation. So in this Reddit post, the person writes that they're lost right now. They're saying that they have an invoice from clients that are paid. They appear under my bank transaction to be reviewed, but then when they match the transaction, it appears under undeposited funds, and I have a message error when I try to select my work income category. If I categorize it as an expense under my work income category, it seems to appear twice on my sales report. What should I do? I'm sure I'm not understanding something correctly. So I just plugged it into ChatGPT and I'm going to see what it said. It says, there's a common issue there in the bank feed. Here's a clear breakdown and best practice for matching those transactions. So what's happening is that, let's see, matching to an invoice. When you match a bank transaction to an invoice, QBO assumes that the payment already exists, usually deposited or undeposited. So that's when you match. Error when categorizing. If you instead try to categorize it as income, it can duplicate the revenue, once from the invoice, once from the bank transaction. Okay, so usually when you have a bank feed, what you're trying to do is clear out something that's already in the system. So when you have when you record an invoice in QuickBooks, there's going to be a journal entry that you're creating. It's a debit to accounts receivable. It's money that's being owed to you. And then you might have, that you're going to credit whatever type of revenue you're working with. So in this case, the user seems to be using something called work income. That's the original. When you record an invoice, you're recording that type of revenue there. When you receive a payment, like let's say you receive a check in the mail, you're going to mark that invoice off as paid. Okay, and if you mark it as paid, before it's actually hit your actual bank account, you're going to put it to something called undeposited funds. Okay, so you're saying you received the money, so you're going to mark the invoice as paid, so you stop going after your customer, and but it's still not deposited. The money hasn't been deposited to the bank. Then once the check is deposited into the bank feeds, it'll show up in the bank feeds, and then that bank feed will show up as a debit to cash, and then you have to assign it some kind of a credit, right? Where are you going to credit it to? If you in this case, what it's saying is if you categorize it, right? Let's say you get that deposit and you categorize it to work income. You're at that point duplicating the payment that you already recorded. When you record the payment, it's a reduction to accounts receivable and then undeposited funds. Then you have your actual cash come in. It's going to be a debit to cash. You receive cash and then you get rid of your undeposited, right? So that's the end of it. But if you instead of clearing that undeposited, you code it to income, you can see how you're duplicating the original entry that you already booked when you recorded that invoice. That first invoice that you recorded, you're already recording revenue, work income, right? Accounts receivable, work income. when you receive the cash in the bank, if you say I received cash and it goes to work income, you're hitting it again. So that's you're duplicating it twice. You're recording it twice. And if you do that, then every time you make a sale, you're subject to sales tax, right? So that it'll appear in your sales tax report twice as well. So the correct process is always receive the payment first, right? You go to the invoice, you click receive payment, you choose the undeposited funds as the deposit to account. This records the payment, but it does not yet deposit your bank. Use bank feed to match the deposit. In the banking tab, QBO will try to match the incoming deposit and the payment that you just recorded. Click match. This links the bank transaction to the invoice payment and clears both from to review. Okay, then avoid categorizing bank transactions to income. Never categorize client payments directly to the bank feed unless there's no invoice. If there's no invoice, then then at that point you're if you credit it to work income, it's like you're generating you're replicating what that original invoice would have done. So otherwise you're duplicating revenue. Okay, why it matters: matching links bank transactions to invoice, ensuring income is reported once and sales tax is accurate. Categorizing adds a separate income record, leading to double counting. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to replicate this scenario in QuickBooks really quick. First, I'm gonna set up a test client. Enter a test client. Okay, so I am gonna be using my Books Commander session ID here, and I'm working in a test environment in the sandbox. If anybody's interested in getting access to to like a sandbox environment, I can provide you access to this GPT that talks to that environment, and I can provide instructions on how you can set up your own test company within QuickBooks. So this is a test company. It's a sandbox company. It looks just like QuickBooks, but it's in the sandbox environment. So you can create one like this, and then you can try out this GPT if you'd like. Where is it here? This one. Okay. So the Books Commander is going to create this client in QuickBooks. Okay. So would you like me to proceed? Yes. And then it's going to show me a button. This button is the one that actually confirms that it's going to talk to QuickBooks. Okay, the test client has been created. I'm going to go to customers, and there's a test client that was just created. Okay, then let's create an invoice. Let's first check what services are available for billing at this time. That way we're going to go into our QuickBooks and check what accounts or what services have already been set up. Service for item billing. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm not sure what's going on. It should have access to this. There we go. See, so it went in and it said currently you have these two services for billing. Okay. Would you like to update the rate? Yes. Update service to 20. Okay, because that way we could have some dollar amount to work with here. So we're essentially going to create an invoice right now, and we need to add items into that invoice, the invoice to a customer, and we're going to select services. And so that's why we're giving it a rate at this point. It says that it referenced income ID does not exist in the test company. Income account. QuickBooks needs a valid account reference to assign the service income to. Okay, so it's saying that it didn't find income account. So I'm just gonna have it create one to avoid going back and forth. So it's going to create a general ledger account called income. That's going to be called service income. And it's going to have account type of income and service fee income. Confirm. Okay. Okay, so now it's assigned service income to that service and it's updated the rate. Okay, now let's create an invoice for this customer. Okay. It'll be an invoice that's for services for $20 with quantity of 1 due today. I'm just going to say proceed as is. Okay, so now that invoice has been successfully created, I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to go over here to my sandbox. I'm just going to paste this link. You do have to be logged into the right account for this link to work because it's a generic link, and if you're in some other company and that company also has a transaction ID of 179, it's going to open that company's transaction. So this is the one that we just created. And to get an idea of what I was talking about earlier about when you create an invoice, let's look at the journal entry that's created here. Okay, you have your accounts receivable and your service income. This is like your revenue. Okay, so when you get paid, you reduce your receivables, but service income stays. It's never going to change. So what could potentially be happening is the user, when the bank feed comes in, they might also be booking that deposit to service income. But as you can see, this invoice already books this revenue, so there's no need to touch it. Okay. The next step is to apply a payment. So now let's simulate as though we received a check, but it hasn't been deposited. Okay, so now let's book a payment as though we received a check that has not yet been deposited. This is what it's going to log: undeposited funds, and we're ready to proceed. Yes. Okay, let's go there. So now it recorded received money. Maybe this link is broken. Let's go over to the invoice here, and let's see if it's marked as paid. It's marked as paid. So the link was not correct, but the payment was applied properly to that invoice. And so here we have this payment, right? We received the check, and I want to see that transaction journal. So this should be a reduction to accounts receivable, right? Here, a reduction to receivable, and this is where you're hitting that undeposited account. It's like a holding place. Instead of going, because it's not showing up in your bank yet, right? But you received it, so you're marking it off as paid, but it's not going to match your bank because it's not there yet, because you're holding the check in your hand. So this is the one that needs to be cleared once you receive that deposit. Once that deposit comes in through the bank feed, that's where that matching comes in. Okay, so at this point, we cannot simulate a transaction that's being synced from the bank. That's something that happens between the bank and QuickBooks. But we can enter a manual deposit. So let's simulate a deposit for this. Okay, so now it's going to go undeposited funds, and then it's going to be your bank account. Okay, ready to proceed? Yes. So it is a test environment, and I haven't created any GL accounts, so hopefully it selects the right cash account. It appears deposit to, maybe incorrectly wrote. To fix this, I'll retrieve your available bank accounts. Okay, yeah. So it needs to see what bank accounts, um, are available to be selected in this sandbox environment. So it's going to do a query to bring in that data. It doesn't have a bank account, so let's just create one because it's just for testing. Okay, would you like me to create a basic one? Okay, let's go ahead and create that and confirm. Okay, it's been created, and now it's going to proceed to record the $20. Formatting issue. A property specified. The problem lies in the deposit line. To resolve it cleanly, recreate the deposit with a simpler structure. Yes, that's not an issue. We're just trying to recreate the situation at this point. I'll rebuild. Let's see. Skip a deposit. Acknowledge the check is received. Record a simplified deposit. Wait. So it's saying at this point, it's likely that the sandbox environment has stricter validation or bug affecting deposits from undeposited funds. Skip the deposit simulation. Acknowledge that the check is received. Add pending bank deposit. Record a simplified manual deposit directly into the bank account. I'm gonna say try a few more times, because all I want is to just have like a very basic deposit be posted into the books. And if not, I'll just do it manually right now. It's not a problem. Part of this exercise is seeing how we as accountants can use ChatGPT to help us problem solve. And another part is me as a developer trying to find out what kind of use cases exist for this this GPT that I built. Might not have any, I'm not sure. I mean, might be better to just do everything manually. But there's been a few cases where I prefer to just tell ChatGPT to book transactions for me, and I kind of serve as the reviewer. So yeah, it just depends on your preference, I think. Okay, so it says making progress. Using a different okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it manually here. I'm gonna go new bank deposit. Okay, test bank account. That's the account we just created earlier. Okay, so here is where you would select your entry here. Okay, by doing this and just hitting save and close, you're pretty much done at this point. What happens is this will create a journal entry that so this is a match, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna save and close, and let's see if we could reopen that. And yeah, so I reopened it, and I'm gonna go to the transaction journal just to confirm that we're hitting cash, and then we're removing it from the undeposited funds category. Yeah, test bank account undeposited funds. So at this point, you've cleared out your undeposited funds, and you did not duplicate your transaction, right? So I'm gonna go to deposits. I'm gonna reopen that item, and I believe that I think, let's see if I can get to it. Yeah, I could get to it this way. I believe what happened with this particular user, based on how I'm reading this post here, they're saying that it's appearing twice, and all they're doing is matching, right? So I believe that what they're doing, and I'm not sure if this is the case or not, but that's what I'm gonna propose to the user as an answer. I think what they're doing is they're going, in addition to having it as a test client here, where they just matched it, they might also be adding funds to the deposit. So received from test client, right? Account. This is the service income, right? So this is how you, let's say, check and $20. It's very possible that this is what they're doing, and if they do that, right, and let's just open and see right away, you could see that you're indicating that you've deposited $40. So if you look at the transaction journal, you've deposited $40 to your cash account. You've hit the service income account and your undeposited funds. So if you were to go, let's see if I could get to the service income. No, I'm going to run a report for service income. Okay, so I'll just say, let's go to our chart of accounts and go to service income. Okay, and I'm going to run this report. And here, this is where you'll see that the revenue has been replicated, right? So when you created the invoice, you hit the service income, and then when you created the deposit, you also hit the service income account. So you duplicated it right there. If you do this, then your sales tax report is going to show these two income items as taxable, and then so that's what the user might be seeing here when they say that they see it appear on their sales tax report twice. And then they're also saying that they're categorizing it as an expense under the work income category. I'm not sure. I think this might be like a typo, but maybe I'll ask for a clarification. But it's yeah, if you look at this, they might be referring to this section as the expense section. I'm not sure, but anyway, so I think that's going to be my diagnosis, and I'll post this video over to the user, and hopefully it helps them out and it resolves their issue. But if you guys have any test cases that you'd like to see, me do, if you've run into any issues, any problems that you have, or you think that this GPT has application for some use case that you're working on, let me know. I'm happy to make a video for you guys. And like I mentioned earlier, if anyone is interested in trying out the GPT in sort of a sandbox environment where they can give it all these different prompts and learn how it works and how to best use it, send me an email at support@bookscommander.com, and I'll send you the link to the test environment, to the Books Commander test environment. I'll give you access to the Books Commander GPT for the test environment, and then I'll send you instructions on how to set up your own sandbox company within QuickBooks. It's free, so you can set one up for yourself, and if you're interested, you could play around with it. So appreciate you guys joining me today, and I'll see you next time.